You are getting ready to listen to the voice of Dr. Rhadi Ferguson, 2004 Olympian, four-time national judo champion, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, author, speaker, and coach.
Hey, what's going on, man? This is Dr. Rhadi Ferguson, 2004 Olympian, four-time national judo champion, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, author, speaker, and coach. And I want to have a discussion with you about a realm or area where I have a certain level of expertise from coaching for a long period of time. And you've heard me talk about deliberate practice before. Heard me talk about the acquisition of expertise. And I have studied Anders K. Erickson in that particular space, read many of his books. I've also read The Talent Code by Daniel Coyle, Talent is Overrated by Jeff Colvin, Bounce by Matt Saeed, as well as a plethora of other books like Outliers. I would like to remember all the rest of the books that I read. Oh my gosh, what's the other one? I want to give it to you because I want you to have it. I just can't think of it right now, but I will drop a couple books in the comments when I finish so that you have them. In my space as a coach, a lot of people look at what I do and they think that I cut corners or I shortcut. And I think that people look at the word or the term of shortcut in a negative fashion because they believe that you're cutting some things out. And when you take a shortcut in terms of the acquisition of expertise, you're not leaving anything out as much as you are determined on getting as much as you need. Meaning, if I have a piece of steak or a piece of filet mignon, I want to cook it with the fat on it so that the flavor from the fat goes into the meat. When it's time to eat the meat, I cut that fat portion off because I don't need it anymore. So there are portions from the developmental process that you need that you cannot cut. But there's other pieces that you don't need to digest and eat. If you've ever given a dog bones and meat and fat, you'll notice that the dog will eat the meat. He may smell the fat, but he'll chew on the bone. Why? Because there's nutrients inside of the bone. There's marrow inside of the bone. There's things that the dog can use. They can sharpen their teeth. There's things that the dog can use from the bone. There's also protein in the meat. But when it comes to the fat can be cut out because the dog doesn't need that. You've seen a dog chew a fat and they'll spit it out. When you take shortcuts in the developmental process, you have to know what to cut, what to keep, and when to cut. Why am I saying that? Well, a lot of people look at my training process and I'm gonna get to the meat of my discussion. They look at my training process in judo and they say, well, you don't teach falls. I teach falls. I don't teach falls in the beginning. Because what I've learned through a period of time, especially when you're dealing with new practitioners in this particular space, is that there's a fear of falling for the practitioner. So I cut the falls out in the beginning. I utilize the dummies, I utilize Newas, I utilize the training, and then I have the children or the beginning practitioners throw the dummy, and then they throw the dummy and hold on and then roll to the floor. And then I use the flavoring from the falls with the throws to teach the falls, and then I back in and teach the falls because I still need the flavoring from the fat. Now, I was having a conversation with a parent yesterday about his daughter inside of the dojo, and she's, an absolutely fantastic athlete. And we have some people inside of the dojo who are considering training for the 2028 Olympic trials. And I say training for the trials and not the Olympics because if you don't win the trials, there is no Olympics. And in that process, I have people who are right now 12 and 13 and 14 years old who will be in the next 5 years, 17, 18, and 19 years old. But I cannot train them like adults because they're not adults. But I do have to give them some adult-like training because they will be fighting adults. And the conundrum is, how much do you provide? How much do you remove? How do you train them on the psychological side without damaging them too much? Because they're going to get damaged without damaging them too much. How do you train them in the psychomotor domain without damaging them too much? Because they're going to get damaged. And then how do you protect them cognitively? How do you develop their thinking, but then protect their mind? All these things, man. I'm actually sitting down, writing these things out and mapping these things out and writing out how can I coach by utilizing the fruits of the spirit and being kind, but let the training be hard. And what do I need to cut from the training? What do I need to add? And what do I need to push? Because I've trained people and developed people, but I've never trained the people at the 12, 13, 14-year-old space to develop into the Olympian later. And I was talking with a parent and I said, man, what do you think these kids need? He says, man, they don't really need much. He said, they need a new set of behaviors. I said, Jesus. He said, they need a new set of behaviors. And when I thought about it, I said, how do you cut out the TikTok and the Instagram and the YouTube video watching? And how do you cut out those particular things? And how do you inject the watching the judo videos and the studying and the getting a nap and the sleeping and the resting? And how do you create the desire for the new set of behaviors? And the difficult part of the process is children have childlike reasoning. Adults have adult-like reasoning. And trying to reason, that's why when I hear some of you parents tell me, all you have to do is sit down and talk with little Johnny. If you sit down and talk, no, sometimes you need to slap the shit out of little Johnny, because you can explain all these things to little Johnny. You can explain why you don't need to run out in 4 or 5 lanes of traffic when the ball is going across the street. But sometimes you need to grab little Johnny and spank him on his legs and say, hey, don't run out there in the road. Because that level of an aversive stimulus is what that child needs, so they don't run out and hurt themselves. Because you're trying to speak logically to a person that does not have that ability at this particular time. So then the conundrum is, how do I create the urgency that we know exists as an adult in a child who cannot see the urgency? Case in point, and I have my man, Coach Clarence Everett, on here. We've all watched the football game. We've all watched MMA. We've all watched boxing. And we've seen people change their behavior in the later rounds or late in the game or in the fourth quarter. And all of us always ask ourselves, why weren't they playing like that in the beginning? Well, nobody plays like that in the beginning because you believe you have a lot of time. And when you start the training process 4, 5, 6, 7 years out, which really should be done 12, 10 years out, people believe that they have a lot of time. And you don't have a lot of time. Most of the children that I'm going to be coaching right now should have been starting at the age of 6, 7, and 8, with parents taking over the process, understanding that this is where I want my child to go. That's why that whole thing about you have to let the kids choose that's 100% bullshit. Okay. Children don't make choices. They don't decide to pay the phone bill. They don't decide to buy groceries. They don't decide to eat vegetables. They don't decide to go to doctor. Children don't decide shit. So all you guys are talking about that new age parenting shit, we let the kid decide. Your kid doesn't decide anything at all, ever. Now, you may ask your kid for their input, but you're not asking your kid, would you like to go to the dentist appointment? You're not. Why? Because you know how important oral care is. So you're not asking your child. So wherever you fit oral care inside of the importance of your life, that's that's the imperative or the directive that's being given to the child. So if you read the books like Talent is Overrated, or Talent Code, you'll know that there are some parents who felt like the game of chess was really important in the cognitive development of their kids' lives. So what did they do? They taught them chess early to create chess players. They didn't ask them at 1 year old, a 2 year old, a 3 year old, a 4 year old, a 5 year old, do you like chess? Do you want to play chess? How do you feel about chess? They didn't get involved in that process. Kids played chess, became chess champions, period. Parents make the decision, kids follow through. That's it. Now, the rough part is that when you're in a space or place, and I'm going to say this because I've been in a situation and I have a lot of people in this space now, the people who run dojos or coach are in this space. The children who are in single parent homes, okay, and more specifically co-parenting homes, have a really, really tough time in the space of the acquisition of expertise as it pertains to those particular sports or pursuits that provide a high level of aversive stimulus. Dr. Ferguson, please speak in layman terms. I will. Kids who are in sports that provide a high level of pain, if the parents aren't on the same page, one parent will allow them to exit. And they'll never become who they need to become. Ever. Every hardcore pursuit requires pushing and pulling. The job of the coach is to understand how hard the push needs to be so that you move forward and don't get pushed down, and how hard the pull needs to be so that you don't pull too hard and drag. Becoming an expert coach is only developed when you have pushed too hard, unfortunately, and when you have pulled too hard, unfortunately, and have knocked some people down. If you were doing a residency as a physician, you would be in a space in a teaching hospital where unfortunately there would be some poor outcomes for the people who are learning. Why is this? Because the people who are learning are making mistakes. I can tell you, as a coach who has developed his style and his art and his skill for the sweet science of coaching, man, I made some mistakes early in the process. I pushed people who should not have been, I pushed people who should have been pulled. I pulled people who should have been pushed. I knocked people down and I dragged people across the line because at that time, the line was more important than the person. Now, let me tell you something. There are times, unfortunately, where the line is more important than the person. I remember I was reading this article, and you can find it, about Michael Phelps and his coach, and they said, Michael Phelps' coach said, I wish I wouldn't have pushed him so hard. At which point I said, when did you wish you wouldn't have pushed him so hard? After he already had the gold medals? Or before, my friend? Because everybody who pursues any sport at the high end is going to be traumatized. 100%. Now, to answer the question. Oh, Pimentel, como Rival said. To answer the question. How do we get good quick? I'm gonna tell you how you get good quick. I'm gonna give you. I am going to, after I said all that stuff about coaching, I'm going to get. Before I get off here, I'm going to give you the key of how you get good quick. Listen very carefully. If you don't have a pen, write this down. Listen to me very carefully. Number one, choose a thing that you vehemently dislike, abhor, and detest. I don't use the H word. I don't use HATE. Listen, find a thing that you vehemently abhor and detest. For me, it's stretching. I do not like stretching. I do not. For some people, it might be eating veggies. For some people, it might be waking up early. Some people say, I don't like waking up early. I'm a night out. Whatever it is that you don't like, write that particular thing down and make yourself do that thing you don't like 3 days in a row. Make yourself do that thing that you don't like. After 3 days, stop. Then go back and do it for 5 days. After 5 days, stop. Then go back and do it for 7 days. After 7 days, stop. And then go back and do it for 11 days. After 11 days, stop. And then go back and do it for 14 days. After 14 days, stop. By the time you've done this, you'll do it for a year. Now, so Dr. Ferguson, why am I doing this? Because no matter what you do, you're going to have to get used to doing things that you don't like doing in order to access that what you need. And if you don't practice doing what you don't like to do, you'll never get good at anything. Ta-da! I don't like math. Great. Go to the library, get online, find a math, do math. I don't care if it's addition or subtraction. 1 hour every day, 3 days. Do math. And then stop. It doesn't have to be not even any outlandish math or geometry. It has to be it. Just do math. Just do what you don't like. I don't like swimming. I don't like swimming workouts. Water, get in the water 3 days. My man, Marshall Thompson, I trained Marshall Thompson like this, an MMA fighter. He did not like getting in the water and swimming and doing water workouts. That was all we did. You have to find the thing that you don't like. I'm not talking about something that's going to hurt you. I'm not saying if you're, lactose intolerant, I make you drink milk. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about if your knee is hurting and you got to do squat. I'm not talking about that. I also don't like ab exercises. One of my friends said, man, you never work out your abs, man. Your abs look great. My abs don't look great. They look okay because I've been working out for years. But I don't like ab exercises. I know when somebody puts in a core, or gives me a core training program, man, I don't like doing that thing. I don't like core workouts and mobility. Like a core and mobility workout with no weights, that's like walking through hell with gasoline draws on for me. I do not like it at all. But I'll do it because I need practice on doing what I don't like. And it's that easy. Write down what you don't like. And then go titrate yourself into doing it through changing your behavior. You need a new set of behaviors. The problem is you've gotten soft. Me too. I've gotten soft. The reason why my body is softer than it used to be when I was younger has nothing to do with my age. It has to do with my thought processes. I'm softer now. I gotta start having a conversation with myself about not going to Ford's Garage or Burger 21 and buying a burger on the way home. Why? Because I got money to go buy a burger. And sometimes I feel like if I want a burger, I just go get me a burger. Then I get me a basket of fries and a Diet Coke. Because I feel like if I put that Diet Coke on the back end, I'm doing myself a favor. But I've gotten softer. My thinking has gotten softer. Once my thinking gets harder, my body will get harder. That's why David Goggins says, stay hard. It don't have nothing to do with your body. That's what to do with your mind. But when your mind stays hard, man, your body stays hard. That's just what it is. If you want to get good fast, before you start doing the thing, find out what you don't like to do and do that. Now, Dr. Ferguson, I don't like working out in the morning. How can I get this done? I'm going to give you the steps. And we do this with our clients, all right? I have a coaching program with my good friend, Coach Arlo Henderson. We have a switch-on coaching program. We have people who don't like working out in the morning. We tell them to put the shoes on the floor next to the bed. Put the socks by the shoes. Put the shorts on top of the socks. Put the shirt on top of the shorts. When you get out of bed, you brush your teeth, wash your face, put the shirt on, shorts on, socks on, shoes on, walk outside. Listen, walk outside, get the keys, walk outside, lock the door, unlock the door, come back in, take your stuff off, and then get back into bed. 3 days in a row, and then take a break. And then 5 days in a row, and then take a break. And then when it gets easier for you, then walk to the car, sit in the car, turn the car on, turn the car off, close the car door, lock the car, unlock the door, go back in the house, take your clothes off, and get back into bed. Because how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And you just start taking out those small chunks. After a while, the thing that you did not like becomes part of who you are. And you just get hard. And you do what needs to be done, because champions do what needs to be done when it needs to be done. In order to get good at a thing, find out what you don't want to do and start doing that like you love it. That is the shortcut. The long way is just try to eat the whole elephant at once. You can't. Let me say this to you. As good as a boa constrictor or anaconda is, they have a core competency. They bite a thing, they wrap it, and then they squeeze it. They wrap around and they squeeze it. And then they eat it whole. But if they eat something that is too big for them, they end up killing themselves. The belly and the body ruptures, and they end up killing themselves. Even those particular animals who are made to eat things whole can bite off more than they can chew. As human beings, if you bite off more than you can chew, you can end up rupturing things on the psychomotor level, on the physical level. You can end up rupturing things on the affective level, emotionally. And the hard part about the coaching space that I'm in right now is that when you have children, you have to understand what their diet capacities are on the cognitive, the affective, and the psychomotor level. Because if you give them more than they can chew, and more than they can handle, and more than they can digest, you can end up getting into a situation where they get ruptured and they get hurt. The key is a little bit often to create a new set of behaviors. This is Dr. Ferguson. Have a super fantastic day. And remember, I love you, but God loves you best.